Oh, I gotta get my Zoom back. Hey, what's up, y'all? I am finally here with my review of A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. I've been talking about it for forever and keep on forgetting to film it. I have it right here. This is actually lent to me by one of my friends, and she is smart enough to take the sleeve off of it. And so let's get into it. Okay, first of all, this is the third book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, like I said, by Sarah J. Maas, and there's not a lot I can say to summarize the book without spoilers. I do want to go ahead and give it like an A-, just because I feel like it'd be very strange for me to give any book that's not Cassandra Clare an A+. And so that's how I've decided I'm going to start doing my grading from here on out, is like that. So I'll give it an A-. It was great. It was the best way I could have seen her really finishing off this series. And there are really great characters, and their dynamic and relationships with each other are amazing. There are some great surprises in this book, and so if you've read the other two and haven't got to this one, keep going. If you haven't read any of this series yet, start it. Like I said, it's called A Court of Thorns and Roses. That's the series, and that's also the name of the first book by Sarah J. Maas. I have a book talk on both of those that I'll link down below, or book chat, excuse me. And so that's really all I have, other than read it if you haven't. And I'm gonna get to talking about the spoilery part, because on a third book, I mean, there's not much I can say at this point that won't spoil you. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just move right along. And if you haven't read it, then you'll need to go ahead and click off. And if you just don't care, you can go ahead and keep on watching. Alright guys, okay, so let's get into A Court of Wings and Ruin. Okay, got my notes here, because it's been forever and a day since I read this, and so this is going to be a mess. I don't know how to pronounce anybody's names. I apologize. Okay, so we start out, and Feyre's in the spring court, you know, because she's somehow convinced Tamlin that, like, this whole thing was, like, some kind of, like, spell, which I'm just like, does anybody believe that? Supposedly he does, I guess. I don't really know. I personally was like, sure, whatever. So she's, like, playing sneaky sneaks, and it's like, I'm so good at the sneaky sneaks. All the while, there's, like, these two, like, psychotic twins chilling that are like, oh, we're here from Heimer, and we're just gonna watch over everything and be evil, and y'all just don't worry about us. Then there's that, like, weird, what is that? I'm not even gonna, I can't remember what her name is off the top of my head, but that weird, like, priestess, whatever, that, like, everyone knew was evil immediately. Like, well, I did, and every other, you know, blog post, YouTube video, review, anything, everybody was like, evil, the second she came up on the scene. Like, okay. So it ends up that these twins are, like, poisoning her the entire time, and that's why she's getting headaches and her bond's all messed up and completely taking away her powers. So then she, like, tries to bolt and can't, and is having problems and whatever. So then she, like, bolts, and Lucian, whatever, sorry, goes with her, and he's like, we're in this together, because I was an awful friend before. I'm gonna pay you back. I'm real sorry. So they bolt, and then, like, try to get literally on foot back to the night court. It's like, okay. So when they rest underneath, I don't know what they were underneath. I think they were really just in a cave. I really was, like, at that point questioning if this was gonna come back and bite her, because I didn't really understand, you know, what his motives were, because I'm always, like, looking for the trick. Where's the trick? Are you trying to put me in one? Yes or no? So of course I run into his brothers, which by the way, Aaron, whatever his name is, the one that's like super evil that had the run-in with Moore and all that different kind of stuff. Is he gonna end up being not as evil as we thought? Because I feel like Sarah's riding us into that. Like, I don't know. Or is she making us like have a soft spot for the bad guy and then is gonna come back and like slap us in the face with it? Who knows? I don't really know. So then of course they have that battle, which I thought was pretty epic, and then they eventually get to the night court, which I know not everybody is like super excited that he's with her, but you know, whatever. Then there's the attack on the summer court. You guys, this has been so long since I've read this. This is why you film immediately after you're done with the book. But I didn't because I don't know how to be an adult. And the whole thing ended up being like such a mess. But the girls in these fight scenes were so badass. Just like, come on, let's go. If you've read it, you get what I'm saying. So then like they create this really cool friendship that I thought was really awesome. And that entire thing was obviously devastating because of the fact that there was an attack, clearly. So then they call that meeting, and let me tell you, I know that this book had like amazing scenes that everybody loves, but the meeting scene was one of my favorites. Because Tamlin storms in like a child. Like, I'm mad. My girlfriend left. Or fiance, whatever. That was all a joke. Anyways. But then there's just so much bickering and so many different personalities all in one room. And you're constantly just like on the edge of your seat. Like, something's about to go down. What is it gonna be? So then finally, Tamlin just like blows up after making like all these like little side comments. And then Reese just finally gets tired of it because he's one of those people, you know, that like doesn't really want to show his powers all the time because he's that kind of subtle but not. You know what I'm saying? So finally he's just like, you no longer literally are able to speak. So then Tamlin has like no words coming out of his mouth. And I was like, gotcha. And then what was the deal with like Nesta coming to Cassian's defense? And we're all like, I see you. You ain't slick. You've never been slick. Another cool thing I thought was in this book was her learning how to use her powers. And I really appreciate how Sarah writes powers in this series because I feel like they're realistic, which I know sounds like an oxymoron because it's like real powers, but how they run out of energy, like they run out of powers, if that makes sense. And then when she gets her powers, she has to learn them. Like when she has the wings, she doesn't know how to use them, so she has to learn. It's not like I woke up one morning and all of a sudden I'm the most powerful fae and I know everything about everything. That's annoying. That's super annoying. And so I think that's a really cool part of the book that Sarah put in here is how like realistic the learning of powers and the fact that like you can drain your powers and everything like that. I appreciate it so that way like the magic part of the book isn't just so like perfect all the time. The scene where they like her sister gets captured for like a day and then they have to go get her, and then her and Azrael are like running off of this cliff. Also, like, with this other girl that they saved, which I'm like, of course y'all did. I thought that was cute, but I was like, is this girl going to end up being somebody or not? I'm way too much focused on, like, who is this girl, this other girl. So then they're running, and all of a sudden, out of the middle of nowhere, Tamlin shows up, and it's like, I'm going to save the day. And it's like, we appreciate it, boo, but, like, you've been mad, really, this whole time. And so, like, gotcha. But that was a really hectic, like, hanging on the edge of your seat whole deal too. I also at first did not like, but then grew to love the storyline with the bone carver and the weaver. I thought the weaver seemed a little I don't really know, like Hansel and Gretel-y at first, but then when it came full circle and then she used the weaver to kill the evil priestess lady after the evil priestess lady got Gollum or whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I will learn names next time and write. I'll do a better book chat. I'm so sorry. I liked how the Bone Carver and the Weaver were like supposedly, or we're assuming, or they are some type of god, demigod, which also was like, okay, are they what Amarin is or no? But that in the end, like even that they're like this really, really big bad, they really don't have like the emotions that like the Fae do, and so they end up through a whole bunch of riddles, end up coming then at the big battle to help them. But within that process, Feyre has to go like look at herself in the mirror, literally, and like find herself. And then she comes out and she's like, I know who I am. I am dark and light. I'm good and bad. I'm everything, and I embrace it, and I'm here to party. Loved it. Like, I just loved that whole thing, because to me it just like strengthened her character development throughout the book, you know, wrapped it kind of all up before shit really hit the fan. And can we just talk about the fact that her dad, or their dad, just like showed up out of the middle of nowhere and was like, listen, I'm really sorry, but I came with a fleet and I'm here to save all y'all. And by the way, in 10 seconds I'm going to be dead. I was like, Sarah, why? I don't understand what just happened. I'm so confused. I was really, really thrown by like that last dad aspect of the book. I didn't really understand the point of it, other than to just like wrap up loose ends, I guess. Also, y'all, Amarin and that cauldron. The cauldron one, I've imagined just like literally as a huge cauldron, but then I watched one of Christine, what is her name? I'll link her video down below. Anyways, and she imagines it as like a huge bathtub, so now I can't stop imagining the cauldron as a huge bathtub. But like, I was shook there for a second when it was like, we gotta do this, girls. We gotta break up the cauldron. And then she was like, just kidding, psych. And I was like, oh, is she evil this whole time? I was like, no, that can't be right. What is going on here? I was like, until you figure it out, I was really sitting there like page turning, like, what is going on? What's going on? Like, I don't understand. I really wasn't that upset when Rhys died, only because I literally was like in complete disbelief. I was like, no, there's no way she killed Rhys. Like, I really was like, there's no way she killed Rhys, so I'm not even gonna sweat it. Like, I'm not even going to sweat it. And then like Feyre didn't even know how to save him, and she's like, I just imagine her being like, I can't get the seed life thing to come out of my hand. Help me, I'm new to this. I'm like a baby. Like, but no, I was like not pressed about that. That was not shocking to me. And if you've made it this far and you still have not read the book, spoiler alert, Rhys dies but doesn't. You shouldn't have watched this far, but I appreciate it. Like down below and subscribe. Press the bell. So then I'm like, I really don't care about Lucian anymore. Like, whatever. That's why I'm like Team Astro all the way. Like, I don't care about you. I'm sorry. I like really cared about him in the first book, but now I'm just like, I cared about him in the first book because I really do think because I mean, Rhys was only, before Rhys showed up, Lucian was like the most interesting male character in the book to me. So that's why I cared about him. And now I'm just like, okay, you have too much competition now. I'm really not interested in your storyline anymore. I know that's messed up, but it's just how I feel. So I'm like, Team Astro all the way. Thank you. Goodbye. What was up with their friend showing up like, sorry, our island was hidden like too well, and so we just didn't tell anybody, but we're here now. I'm sorry. Poof. Like, I know that's gonna come into play in this like next series. It's gonna be like a spinoff of this series, but I was just like, oh, so y'all just gonna show up all of a sudden? Like, we appreciate it, but a little late. Like, and what spell was that? We're gonna need to know for future reference, please. Thank you. And this like queen that came over, what is the deal with that? I know that's gonna be answered probably in this next book, but she already kind of gets on my nerves, and somehow like her ancestor was Moore's girlfriend way back in the day. And by the way, let's talk about that for a quick split second. I've been hearing on the blogosphere that people think that Sarah just like threw this in for like to appease LGBT community, you know, readers, just throw one in there. One, I don't think she would do that because of how long that she writes these books and plans these out. Two, I just would like to point out, I I do think it's really important to have representation in any type of entertainment whatsoever, whether that be book, TV, no matter what. But Sarah is a straight white female to our knowledge, and so we really can't expect her to write from a different perspective other than that, because we don't know if she would be able to do that genuinely. And so I'm a strong believer in, if you can't do it justice, then don't do it. And she might not feel that, one, she would be able to do it justice, or two, it just doesn't flow from her experience that she's writing from. And so there's that. Also, I've heard that there's like some beef online too about people's race in the book. I would just like to remind anybody that is viewing this that this is a fictitious world, and there is no Europeans, no Africans, no Asians. There's, you know, there's none of that going on, because that world does not exist. And so I know that's a concern with this movie coming out, but she's the one that wrote it. And so if she wrote a character a specific skin tone, then that's what she wrote it. We don't get to tell her, the creator of this world, what we interpret it. If you want to interpret it, or if I want to interpret it a certain way, that's fine. But we don't get to tell the creator of it what she meant. She gets to tell us, and then we can interpret that however we would like to. And so I'm just going to end on that, because I can't get into Cassian and Nesta right now, because I like Nesta's character, meaning I don't think like she's a good person, but I do think that she's a good complex character, and I can't wait to read more about her. I am about to run out of film, and so that is it for now. I'm super excited to then do a book chat on the like novella that's going to be in between this series and this series to tie it all in. I'll leave my Instagram and Twitter down below, along with my Goodreads, and a link to the other 2 book chats from the first and second book in this series. And don't forget to like this video if you did, and subscribe, because I'm trying to be better about videos, if you can't tell. And then if you want to know when I post, because I don't have like a super strict schedule, I'm trying to do Tuesdays and Thursdays though, push that down below. And that is it until next time, guys. And don't forget to do what you dig. Bye.